Hi, I'm Mike Reynolds of Reynoldssoft. Today I'll be demonstrating the game Rodent's Vengeance for Android. Vengeance has been designed to run on all size Android phones and tablets from the API Level 10 Droid 2 through the more recent devices such as the Samsung Galaxy S10. Here I'm playing my favorite game level 5. At this level, every game represents a very challenging, dynamic puzzle and an adventure. Many times there will be a crux move that will require a very precise sequence of steps that must be done without error. Before going through the game menus, I wanted to show some of the new features just added. Here I am playing Vengeance on a Galaxy Tab A. One of the new features added to the game is a single tap interface. There are two tap modes available. The swipe move interface can be used at any time. To turn on the tap interface, I touch the direction compass pointer. Note that the game Rodent is now surrounded by direction pointers. It is now in tap following mode. If I tap at or in front of one of these, the Rodent will follow in the tap direction. If I touch the direction compass pointer again, the game is now in edge tap mode. Note the direction pointers on each side of the game board. If I tap one of these, the Rodent will move one step in the specified direction. If I touch the direction compass pointer a third time, the tap mode is turned off. Many games have only 4 directions of movement, so they may have a set of 4 control buttons at the bottom of the screen, up, down, left, and right. But Vengeance requires movement in 8 directions, and placing 8 direction buttons at the bottom of the screen would be a distraction for gameplay. For this reason, both new tap interfaces place the buttons in easy-to-view locations for the player. If I go to level 6, you can see the diagonal moves are necessary for play, hence the need for 8 tap direction controls. Here I'm playing on an S3 phone with a smaller screen. In tap edge mode, I can use my thumbs to play. And note that the controls are in easy to see locations, hopefully simplifying gameplay for the user. At each of the game levels 1 through 4, one finds enjoyable play, but in addition, these levels represent training and preparation for level 5 play. We use Start at Level to select level 1. Level 1 introduces movement of the bush game pieces, the green pieces, to surround the cats and creating and eating cheese to gain points. Here we see we'll attempt to capture the cat changes to cheese. We need to eat the cheese to gain 100 points. After the first cat is taken, representing the first wave of cats, a second wave comes in, and there are multiple waves. If all of the cats are immobilized for each wave, then you will go automatically to the next level of play. Let's go to level 2 now, using started level. In level 2, in addition to the bush pieces, we see that they introduced the stone pieces. They're gray-blue. The stone pieces can't be moved by the rodent, so they represent blocking. So it adds a challenge to the game, and it helps prepare one for eventually level 5 play. Notice at the top of the screen we have some iconic elements. On the far left we have 2 rodent icons. What that indicates is that in addition to the current life, rodent life that you have, there are 2 more lives, 3 total. Next to the right we have an analog clock keeping track of the time for a given game period. Then next we have the current score. And to the far right we have a compass pointer for move direction. If I move the rodent in a particular direction, it changes the compass pointer. And moving on to level 3, here we see a more complex configuration. We see that we have many more bushes, plus a mix of stones. This is made to be a bit more challenging to solve. The number of bushes are sufficient, though, in order to surround the cats. It's a little more enjoyable than the first 2 levels. Again, we're attempting to constrain the movements of the cats so that we can eventually capture them. The cats are also drawn to the location of the rodent so that you can actually draw them in the direction of where you're located and continue to surround some of the cats if possible. Building walls to protect yourself if they're chasing you. And since they're drawn toward you, you can actually prepare holding pens for them, which I'm doing right now. Draw them away. They come toward you. Then enclose them. You can then constrain them and work to capture them. And again, they will turn to cheese. And there we have, again, level 3. Now let's take a quick look at level 4. And here we see we have long diagonal rows of bushes in order to prepare to constrain the cat and protect the rodent, it's necessary to begin building rows, and then you can constrain the cat similar to some of the other levels. We also see that there are hole pieces. The hole pieces basically prevent the movement of the rodent. If the rodent moves into the hole pieces, basically he will be trapped there for 10 cat moves. Sometimes the holes block a strategy that you may have for capturing the cats, so that removing the hole pieces may be an essential part of what you try to do. The yarn balls prevent the cat from moving. The yarn balls move randomly. Sometimes you'd almost swear that they're chasing after you, but they're strictly random in their movements. And as with other levels, we can capture the cats and eat the cheese. And now going back to level 5. You can see that at level 5 there's a more complex mixture of stones. There are more stones, fewer bushes, making things a bit more challenging. Also, we see that we have yarn ball activity. Sometimes the yarn balls become very deadly, and you have to kind of watch yourself having to deal with the yarn balls, and the cats can be difficult. Okay, let's go back. So let's take a look at some of the other menu selections that we have here. Select options, we'll look at that in a moment. We have high scores. Basically, you can record your name and whatever high score you've achieved. Help. You have gameplay help, how to move the rodent. There are 3 ways of moving the rodent. We'll cover those in a minute. We have game menus help, the upper left. Each of the menu elements is described. And we have game details help in the upper left also, describing how the game works, gameplay. Of course, we have an about to give you the revision for the Rodent's Vengeance game that you're playing. Now let's look at some of the game options. We can then use the select options selection in the main menu. We can select starting level. What will the starting level be for the game? Speed of the cats. The cat speed is set to slow by default. Let's see why that's the case. Let's set the speed temporarily up to yikes. You can see here that we have medium fast blazing yikes basically. Keep that speed. Go back and let's just start at level 5. You can see how fast the cats will go. It'd be really a challenge to try to stay ahead of them. So I would say we probably want to, well, looks like I gained some points here. Let's go back again and reset the speed to its default value of slow. Probably adequate for most of us. We also have cat smarts. The cats can see around corners at a certain distance. If you use a higher cat smarts, make the cat smarter, you can actually, they can see farther around corners and it's harder to capture them, harder to surround them. Yarn ball activity. Sometimes yarn ball activity becomes a little difficult, making the game a little more challenging than one might want. So the yarn balls can be disabled if you wish. Level repeat. If you enjoy level 3, for example, you can play exclusively at level 3. When you complete a level 3 play, it will actually then start again at level 3. We have a new feature, blindfolded cats. Basically, this is intended to prevent the cats from seeing the rodent. It then gives the opportunity for a new mode of play. Let's try it out. And here, ordinarily the cats would be coming after the rodent aggressively. Here you can see that they are moving randomly. They're not sure where the rodent is at. This presents an interesting challenge because in this mode of play, if they're not coming after you, how do you surround them? This level of play, this mode of play, would be good for a person who's just learning to play the game, for example, learning how to move the pieces. Or you might want to take a moment to set up blockades and then take the blindfolds off. The cats will still take the rodent if he gets too close and runs into the rodent. Let's go back to options. Then we turn off blindfolded cats, take the blindfolds off, and go back to our game. And now the cats know where the rodent is at and they're going to come after him. One last thing that I wanted to mention in this presentation. There are 3 methods for moving the rodent. Swipe gestures on the screen, 2 selectable tap gesture modes, and finally the game can be played with a connected Bluetooth keyboard. The keyboard controls are documented in Help. Note that the game can be played exclusively under keyboard control. So this completes my demonstration of the game Rodent's Vengeance for Android. You can contact me via email using the displayed address. Your feedback is greatly appreciated. I hope to get your suggestions and feedback soon.